guys, it's Jada. So today I'm back with another video on a little psychology lesson that I learned at school. So let's get started. We have a lot of information to cover. So first we'll talk about behaviorism. So the behaviorism is the study of behavior, and usually behaviorism is associated with a black box metaphor. The black box metaphor, basically the black box is the mental process. However, why is it black? Because mental process is unobservable, so that we don't. So behaviorist doesn't really believe what's going on inside or have this mental process. So they only focus on the behavior, the study of behavior. So that's why it's called behaviorism. So, like I said here, only study behavior. Here doesn't care about mental process because it's unobservable. So here you have the environmental stimuli here, and then you have the black box, the mental process, and then the reaction, basically, or observed behavior. So here we have some famous behaviorists. So we have Pavlov. Pavlov is the person who proposed the classical conditioning, and then we have Watson, and then we have Skinner. We'll talk about Watson and Skinner more in depth later. Okay, so now let's talk about John B. Watson. So he did a controversial experiment on a baby called Albert by conditioning his fears or phobias. So this is how the experiment goes. So we have a baby and a mice. The baby is called Albert, so that's why it's also called the case of little Albert. And so, as John B. Watson observed, little Albert is not afraid of mice, he's playing with it. However, he found out that little Albert is afraid of loud noises. And then, by using this, he conditioned his little Albert's fear, which later leads to like generalization, which is the transfer of the conditioned response to something similar, like anything on the lines of probably bunnies, dogs, or anything fluffy. Later on in life, little Albert will be afraid because of that conditioned stimulus. So this experiment was actually influenced by one of Pavlov's classical conditioning, like I mentioned earlier. So he is also the founder of behaviorism. So here we have the classical conditioning. Here we have a dog and a bell. So if you ring the bell, the dog will have no reaction. But if you show fruit in front of him, that's gonna be unconditional stimulus, which caused the unconditioned response. So, which is the salvation of the dog. So neutral stimulus is the bell because everything is neutral. Nothing is going on. So later we have, if we present bell and food together, it will cause dog salvation. After many trials, eventually, with only the bell, which was our neutral stimulus, which is now our conditioned stimulus, will cause the salvation of the dog. So one of the example that my personal example will be, after learning psychology, I started to want to study the behavior of my pet hamster JB. So at first, I gently tap on the metal bar, like to call my hamster over, and then that's my neutral stimulus. It doesn't cause any response or anything. And then I present a walnut. Of course, my hamster came over to me and wanting a walnut. So that's the unconditioned stimulus, which triggered unconditional response, which is my hamster coming over to me. So if I tap on the metal bar like this, and then present walnut at the same time, or every time he came near the door with his two hands up at the door waiting for a walnut, I'll give him a little piece of walnut, and then after probably a series of times, eventually, if I just simply tap like this, my hamster will come over, because that became my conditioned stimulus. But this is gonna get complicated when we get to second conditioning, which is your already conditioned stimulus, this bell, with another unconditioned stimulus, and then the whole process repeats. It can have like third conditioning, fourth conditioning. It gets really complicated, so that even like psychologists, behaviorists cannot find the origin of like the original neutral stimulus, because we just don't know what it is. So now we'll talk about B.F. Skinner. B.F. Skinner developed the operant conditioning through reward or reinforcement and punishment in a positive and negative way. But by that, I mean direct or indirect. Later I'll explain it. So he also gains reputation from testing Watson's theories. So here is what I was talking about. You don't look horizontally. You look diagonally like this. So the green to the green, the red to the red. So here's an example of positive or direct punishment. Easy. It's really easy. Scoldings, corner time, timeout, spankings, kneeling in the corner or something like that. I don't know. So those are etc. Disciplinary actions are direct punishments. So these two are to weaken a kind of behavior. So for negative punishment, I like to use the example of a strawberry milk. So say one person a child likes strawberry milk. And then if the child misbehaves, the mother simply take away the strawberry milk as a punishment. So that's an indirect punishment, because the mother did not scold or do any disciplinary actions and stuff like that. She just simply take away something that the child likes. So negative will be taking away something good. For a negative punishment, it will be taking away something good. So here we have positive reinforcement or direct reinforcement, which is to strengthen the behavior, such as giving candy or take them out for ice cream or take them out to the park, etc., etc. So these are direct or positive reinforcement, and then negative reinforcement will be like if students doesn't like homework, but they behave really well, the teacher will be like, "Oh, you behave so well today. Okay, class, you behave so well today, so there will be no homework." Yeah, that's indirect reinforcement or rewarding. So here we have Skinner's box, or experiment with a rat. So here we have a rat in this some kind of incubator thing. And then here we have one button that the rat will press to get food. Here is where they can get the food. So if they press it, they'll be rewarded with the food. Or, like if they listen to the direction and follows, they'll be rewarded food. However, if they didn't follow the directions or they just do anything other than then pressing the red button, pressing the button, doesn't have to be red, but just the button, though, see here is a shock generator, and these are wires, like electric wires, so it will generate shock to the mouse's feet, and that's our kind of negative or positive punishment, and the rewarding will be negative or positive reinforcement. And then eventually the rat will learn to follow the direction because they don't want to get punished. Nobody wants to. So here we have cognitive psychology. This is kind of like on the opposite spectrum of behaviorism because cognitive psychology is the study of thinking process or mental process, which includes memory, thinking, perception, attention, and etc. So here so that backtrack a little. So for behaviorism, our metaphor is the black box, which means that we don't know what the mental process is. But here, the cognitive psychology, we have the computer metaphor, which is compared our brain to the computer to try to understand the mental process. So here we have Edward Tolman. He starts the cognitive revolution in 1960 and came to conclusion of mental representation or some kind of mental map, and believes that mental process needs to be observed to understand psychology. So he does this experiment with a rat in a maze. So basically, at first there's one maze A, and then if the rat successfully pass the maze, they'll be rewarded cheese at the end. And then they remodify into something more complicated, which is kind of like a fan shape with a lot of roots to come out and stuff like that. So what Edward Tolman hypothesized is that if they block the original entrance, then the rat will find another way out that's closest to the original path they took. However, actually, the result comes out completely different. the rat goes somewhere really off of the what Tolman expected. So he concludes that there must have been some kind of mental representation or mental map inside that's going on in the rat's brain. So now we'll talk about another cognitive psychologist, is Ulrich Neisser. We just call him Neisser. So he's from December 8, 1928 to February 17, 2012. So he's also associated with cognitive revolution, but not the one who started it. And he also became the Bible of new psychology. So, yeah, a lot of the information for the next few lessons, there will be a lot of names, like a lot. Even when I'm having class, I'm also really tired because all of this history stuff and all those names I need to memorize. Yeah, that's a school curriculum. However, we need to kind of learn about this stuff. So, of course, we're gonna get to the fun part. Later on, I saw in the unit, we were gonna wait a really long time. And from now, we're gonna be studying about one of the units. It's Unit 9, and we'll be learning about abnormal behaviors and stuff like that, which I'm really excited because I really want to know about ADHD, more about ADHD and stuff, different depression and all that kind of different diseases or mental disorders and stuff like that. I'm quite excited, although it's quite a long way. Anyway, let's continue. So here we have behavioral economics and bias. So people prone to make mistakes in perception, memories, and etc. And markets use this to make money. There are a lot of principles about this, so I will just only give 2 examples. So one of them is the most common one. It's like you go shopping and then you see the original price crossed out. Let's say it's this price here, $89.99, about $90. And then it says with a new price, $49.99, which is about $50. And then you go, ooh, I gain a lot. Because I gained like $40. Because it was originally this, then it turns out to be this. But however, markets sometimes use this method to make people think that they gain, so they buy this thing. But however, maybe this is already the original price. They just want people to buy it, so to make an actual comparison. So we'll actually want to buy it, basically. So another really common example that I'm about to show you is what we at GOT6 or at GOT7s will probably do. Principle of authority. So basically it's like a celebrity wears something and we go buy the same shirt. So here we have Jackson and Yu-Gi-Oh wearing this shirt, or here, during a concert. And then we'll go. So maybe Jackson and Yu-Gi-Oh's gonna go, I want to match with my idol, or I want to match with my oppa. And then they go buy the same shirt. I know, sometimes I did the same thing, but yeah, it's kind of I think maybe Dream Night is something similar, I guess. Like, they advertise their Dream Night, and we're like, our oppa is having one, so we're gonna want one too. Like, remember like during a live V where all God7 members are lying down? And then they were playing with their Goten dolls. I kind of guess that they're probably trying to market or sell their doll. I guess. I don't know, but maybe they just want to play with it. But that could be a possibility because our brain is prone to make these kind of perception mistakes, and this principle of authority here. Or here we have Mark wearing this shirt. That's like shown in when GO7 was teaching Korean in Japan or something, making a show. And remember this, guys? And then we're gonna go like, especially Mark's fan will probably go like, I want to match with my oppa, so I'm gonna go buy the same shirt. That's principle of authority. So that's how Mark has used this to make money. So these are all different kind of principles. So maybe it doesn't seem like a principle, but it actually is. It doesn't. So make the same perceptions and memory and stuff like that. So this is the last slide. So thank you guys for watching, and hope to see you guys in the next lesson. So bye guys.